Gentle lady viewers and gentlemen viewers, good evening and welcome to this, the February 2011 edition of our monthly show, Shakespeare's Views on the News. February is a month with all sorts of peculiarities. To start with, it begins with the letters F and E, which are the initials of fever. And it is a month, of course, fully steeped in winter. And since winter is typically associated with influenza, and since influenza causes fever, many thought that, and perhaps still think, that February may be so named because of the seasonal fevers that may be caused by winter. But it is not so. February derives from a Latin name called februa, meaning purification, a ritual that the old Romans, century even before Julius Caesar or Augustus, performed on the 15th of February. February starts on the same day of the week as do March and November in common years and August in leap years. Having only 28 days in common years that is, it is the only month of the year that can pass without a single full moon. And it is also the only month of the calendar that once every 6 years and once every 11 years, as I found out, will have only 4 full 7-day weeks. And this happens when the first day of the month starts on a Sunday and the last day of the month ends with a Saturday. And this, if you want to know, was observed in 2009 and can be traced back 11 years to 1998. This, I admit, is remarkably useless information, a tribute, if you like, a tribute to irrelevance. But as you know, I derive inspiration from the character Autolycus in the play The Winter's Tales, who defines himself as snapper-up of inconsiderate trifles. Still, it seems as if Christmas was only yesterday. And here we are with the next impending commercial holiday, St. Valentine. You may have observed or seen the caption and the cartoon on the Oregonian that I hope to put on screen that happened on this issue. It happened on the issue of the 26th of December, with this man walking in front of a store window that carries the sign, "Only 364 shopping days till Christmas." In the same spirit, we are not too many days left before St. Valentine as we record this program. So no reminder can come too soon. Perhaps it is a symptom of the passing of years, but we seem to be hypnotized by the constant, repeated, relentless, endless messages inviting us to buy and to buy more, and whenever possible, to still buy more. Of course, we know of all this, and we seem to take it with either resignation, if you like, or nonchalance. Still, in the last episode, I told you that some of the reactions of the contemporary media and of the power elites to the phenomenon of WikiLeaks, and that reaction had strong similarities to the behavior of the power elites in the novel Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I had read the book a long time ago and decided to go over it again. Those who read the book will remember that one of the educational methods in Huxley's Brave New World had to do with what the educators called hypnopedic messages, where hypnopedic is a combination of two Greek words, namely hypnosis and paideia, where paideia means education. Therefore, meaning education via hypnosis. Educational messages were repeated by recorders while the embryos and then the children grew up. They were repeated while the youngsters were asleep, so that when they became adults, the messages of complete allegiance to the system were stably implanted into their brains and into their personalities. You cannot deny, I think, that the constant hammering of advertising messages propounded by all channels except this one, without counting newspapers, ads, and junk mail, you cannot deny that they constitute in their whole a hypnopedic or Huxleyan hypnopedic method of education which outperforms in repetition and exposure any exposure that the average child or students at school may receive on the subjects that make up what we call formal education. Based on this assessment, I cannot help remembering the lines by which the monster Caliban complains with Prospero the magician in the play The Tempest. He complains about the effects of having been taught the art of language, and he says, "You taught me language, and my profit on it is I know how to curse." But why complain? I suspect that many people like or actually enjoy being taught by these, as I said, Huxleyan hypnopedic messages, being taught the ultimate truth that can be condensed in the sentence, "I buy, therefore I am." Still, February is the month of St. Valentine, the month of love. I was going to say the month of commercialized love, but that could be misinterpreted. In fact, St. Valentine's is, you may not realize it, is a byproduct of the Industrial Revolution. You can say that it all started in 1797, where the publisher of a magazine called The Young Man's Valentine Writer rather, which contained scores of suggested sentimental verses for the young lover who was unable to compose his own verses. Printers had already begun producing a limited number of cards with verses and sketches, which they called at the time mechanical valentines. But in the next century ushered in the less personal but easier practice of making valentines. And that in turn made it possible for the first time to exchange cards anonymously, which is taken as the reason for the sudden appearance of racy verses in an area which was otherwise prudishly Victorian. But what Europe may have invented, America perfected. The reinvention of St. Valentine's Day in the 1840s was the work or the merit of Lee Eric Schmidt. As a writer in a magazine, he observed that in 1948 that St. Valentine's Day is becoming, nay, it has become a national holiday. And in the end, the first mass-produced valentines of embossed paper lace were produced and sold after 1847 by a lady by the name of Howland, and her father operated a large book and stationery store. But Miss Howland took her inspiration from an English valentine she had received from the business associates of her father in England. She was intrigued with the idea of making similar valentines, and so the lady began her business by importing paper lace and floral decorations from England. However, should any of you still have the desire or the longing to create a personal Valentine card without any of these syrupy pre-printed messages you can find in commercial products and stores, English literature offers a source of option, and an immense source of option, and none more exhaustive, of course, than William Shakespeare. So here we go with some examples. Let's say that your girlfriend is concerned about getting old, or rather about not appearing as young as she would or should. As you will know, a multi-billion-dollar industry exists for the sole purpose to defy the progress of time and its effect on the appearance of ladies and sometimes of gentlemen too. In fact, Shakespeare himself says in a sonnet, "But I forbid thee one most heinous crime. Oh, carve not with thy hours my love's fair brow, nor draw no lines, not lines there with thine antique pen." Or take that beautiful sonnet where Shakespeare described the efforts of the earlier poets as a premonition, as a prefiguration of the beauty of the current beloved Valentine, if you like, as follows. "When in the chronicle of wasted time I see descriptions of the fairest wights, and beauty making beautiful old rhyme in praise of ladies dead and lovely knights, then in the blazon of sweet beauty's best, of hand, of foot, of lip, of eye or brow, I see their antique pen would have expressed even such a beauty as you master now. So all their praises are but prophecies of this our time, all you prefiguring." Or on a more practical note, it is customary to have a Valentine dinner with one's respective Valentine or Valentines. If so, do not forget the words of advice that one producer in Midsummer Night's Dream gives to his fellow actors. "And most dear actors, eat no onion nor garlic, for we are to utter sweet breath." And should the Valentines have passed the threshold of youth and be lingering in their adult years, they may find some comfort, if you like, inspiration, and perhaps a smile in this equally famous sonnet. "When my love swears that she is made of truth, I do believe her, though I know she lies, that she may think me some untutored youth, unlearned in the world's false subtleties. Thus, vainly thinking that she thinks me young, although she knows my days are past the best, simply I credit her false-speaking tongue. On both sides thus is simple truth suppressed. But wherefore says she not she's unjust? And wherefore say not I that I am old? Oh, love's best habit is in seeming trust, and age in love loves not to have years told. Therefore I lie with her, and she with me, and in our faults by lies we flattered be." As I said, all you have to do is to open Shakespeare, or maybe even this book that I have written, Your Daily Shakespeare, and find the Valentine lines that will conclusively define you as a romantic, an elegant romantic of class. And now to today's segments. At one point of the play The Winter's Tale, one of the characters says, "This news which is called true is so like an old tale that the verity of it is in strong suspicion." This statement, this line, could not apply more aptly, more cogently, and more conclusively than to the news that used to come from Tunisia until not so long ago. But these days,